Oh, hey.
Whoa!
Hey.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Hey.
So I have good news to send you into this glorious 4th of July weekend with. ActBlue, it's official. They're done. And it's just going to destroy. There are so many levers that we are now like gripping the bark off of the Democratic Party. It is collapsing. The collapse is officially here. Not only are we ridding them of their voter base, meaning the criminal aliens that they imported here in order to rig the census, and you, of course, understand how that works. They count the persons in the districts, not the citizens. It's a sad reality. We need to change the Constitution, by the way, in order to say citizens in each district, not persons in each district. That is the allocation. Because of so many criminal aliens being in this country, that means that there are extra seats, about 20 extra seats for Democrats. Democrats are in a permanent minority if we are able to rid our country of the criminal aliens and to rid those districts, of course, of the criminality in the districts. That it will make a good thing for them. We'll be doing them a favor. And of course, we'll be deleting 20 votes for Democrats in the House. But the easiest way, actually, to destroy the party is to destroy their funding apparatus. If you destroy USAID, which was done this week, we were only able to touch on it ever so lightly because there was so much breaking news this week. USAID was killed dead this week. That's the fundraising apparatus for the Democrat Party. That money that was spent on USAID was laundered through ActBlue, and now ActBlue is about to be destroyed as well. Whoo, baby. Let's read the top line here from our friends at Revolver. The walls are finally closing in on the left's dirtiest operation. It's about time. ActBlue, the Democrat Party's prized fundraising platform, is now officially facing serious heat. After years of allegations of shady donations, money laundering, and foreign interference, top executives have now been subpoenaed by Congress, and there's nowhere left to run. It appears that massive amounts of taxpayer money has been funneled through USAID and Democrat-aligned non-government organizations. The money is missing. The allegations are that Biden's Treasury Department was trying to cover it all up. It's a really scary notion. The artery of the Democrat fundraising machine is now being investigated as a criminal enterprise, with foreign money, stolen identities, and election interference all swirling around it. And just like that, once again, the conspiracy theories in the media are mocking it. There's now blowing up on X, where it's being laid out in brutal detail. ActBlue must face Congress after massive fraud and foreign election funding DOJ probe. ActBlue officials have been subpoenaed and are now legally obligated to testify before Congress. Enormous fraud regarding their fundraising platform, the Democrat Party. They are alleged to have been laundering money through ActBlue for years as unaware Americans' personal information in an attempt to cover up illegal donations, especially from foreign nations. Are you one of those people? Go check. Go check the ActBlue database for donations that they're federally required to house and make searchable. You can go find, and I have dozens of people in this program, in this show, and in this audience who have found their names donating $10, $20, $15 to left-wingers in states 1,000 miles away from where they live. They, of course, didn't donate. What you're looking at here is probably not only a federal lawsuit, but the largest class action lawsuit in human history. Because every person who had their identity stolen and then laundered through ActBlue can sue. And millions of them should sue. Many of them are of the right, yet their names and identities are being tied to donations to the left. That could destroy your career. That, again, is like a violation of our sovereign rights in this nation to speak our voice and not have it stolen from us. And this is exactly what ActBlue is doing. By channeling your name and identity into funding a left-winger, a good example is our friend Matt Stoll, who's a great reporter, very accurate, very good in his reporting from North Carolina. He's somebody who certainly is not of the left, and he was able to find his name and identity tied directly to his address, funding left-wingers in a Kansas election. Dozens of them. It's just one example. He has the screenshots and all of the data and evidence to prove it. This is ActBlue fraud. Where's the money come from? Probably USAID. Here's the proof. You can see it. Probably USAID. But any of these other shady federal funding apparatus. And it's very simple. Here's $50 billion to build schools in Kenya, right? None of the money builds a school in Kenya. The executives at that NGO pay themselves $500 million a year for their tough work in Washington. They keep half the money, and then they donate half the money. They launder it. Once it's been paid to them, they can launder that taxpayer dollar straight into Democrat campaign coffers. And it's a self-licking ice cream cone. Then Democrats vote for more money for USAID, knowing that all that money is going to flow back into their coffers. Now, of course, you can't donate $100 million to somebody running for office. You can do it through a super PAC, I suppose. But even that is regulated. But the way that you donate hundreds of millions of dollars to the left is to money launder it by little donations, algorithmically, like little plunk, 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 by pennies here and pennies there. It's weird. It's kind of actually the plot to Office Space, if you've ever seen that comedy. It's a great comedy. I encourage you to watch it. In Office Space, they think they're going to steal pennies every couple of days in an algorithm from the company, and eventually they'll make themselves a lot of money. It's the same concept. Anyway, it doesn't work out for them, and it ain't going to work out for ActBlue. Pam Bondi has also been ordered by President Trump to investigate ActBlue. One person summoned is the current senior workflow specialist, and another is the former vice president of customer service. Are you starting to understand how these illegal operations steal and launder your taxpayer dollars and hide the money? And why USAID and all these front companies were so important? And it's all being used to undermine American citizens, their interests, and the United States, steal elections in general, and enrich themselves. It's not politics, it's a literal criminal enterprise. And it's being disguised as a government organization. Here's John Solomon explaining what's about to happen to ActBlue. They're already in total chaos. The leadership is resigning in mass. The lawyers are resigning in mass. People are being locked out of their emails. The unions that they're working with are revolting. It's a nightmare. Here it is.
Yeah, listen, there's clearly some concern among their lawyers that now that the Justice Department is looking at the possibility of criminality here, that going before Congress could increase their risk. And I think that executive order that President Trump issued back in April was a very consequential moment. Donald Trump is taking this seriously. He told his Justice Department and FBI, you take this seriously because foreign money coming into our elections is a foreign interference in our elections. And so ActBlue, I think, was going to come in and we'll do our show and get out of here. And then they realized, hey, we may have some criminal liability. Now, what's being looked at? What makes ActBlue, what makes Congress concerned? We now know from the great work that Jim Jordan, James Comer, and Brian Stile did, the three chairmen that have sort of created a super investigation in Congress, that ActBlue had reduced its security provisions. So we all live in an era of higher cyber criminals, right? We're more trying to protect ourselves more every day. We have double authentication. We use the CVV number on the back of our credit card. Well, ActBlue was doing the opposite during the 2024 election. They were not requiring the CVV number. They actually dropped some of the other security provisions they had. And then all of a sudden, to the surprise of no one who would understand the system, there were fraudulent monies moving through, according to Congress. This is what Congress has now said in its first official report on this. That decision to lower the barrier, to lower the security, makes everybody suspicious that maybe ActBlue was part of some effort to get dirty money into the election, to help Democrats try to defeat Donald Trump, because there's no other explanation for it. If you were trying to take good care of your consumers, your donors, you would make sure they had the best security, and ActBlue was doing the opposite. So I think now the possibility that criminal or civil liability could be attached to this from the Trump Justice Department has made all of these ActBlue folks a lot more nervous, a lot quicker.
They can't run a functional party without this money laundering. A tweet that went thermonuclear viral for us, actually, just a couple of weeks ago, about a week ago, was that the moment that they defunded USAID, the DNC went bankrupt. Did you notice this? The moment that they got rid of USAID funding, the DNC is totally and completely broke. And now they're begging on their hands and knees for donations. The DNC has no more money. Flat broke, and they're looking at potentially having to take out massive loans in order to just keep operating. Trump is killing this fraudulence in the cradle. Now, Jim Jordan in the House Judiciary is announcing subpoenas. Here it is. DNC in chaos, out of cash. Wow, would you look at that? That's strange. Shouldn't the DNC be raising a lot of money because Trump and, you're in you have something to fight against now and you're in the minority? Nope. All the money's gone. Now they're sounding alarms and they're begging now for cash on their knees, having to take out loans. Don't worry, these people will fix the national deficit. Subpoenas are flying from the House Judiciary. Senior ActBlue employees for depositions. Here's the actual documentation of it. Allegations have risen of online fundraising platform, including ActBlue, accepted fraudulent donations from domestic and foreign sources. This from the official House Judiciary account. Ladies and gentlemen, it is cooking. And you don't have to look at the actual government documentation to see exactly what a nightmare this is going to be. This is something that you can capture on camera. And our friends James O'Keefe has actually captured it on camera. James O'Keefe has gone up to these homes of these donors, see it here, and just asked, it's just very simple. This is like the simplest investigation. Did you actually donate to all these left-wingers? One individual in Virginia donated close to $1 million to Democrats. Okay, some people do donate $1 million to Democrats. Got it. You gotta have your head checked, but whatever. This lady who donated millions to Democrats lives on federal assistance, lives in rent-controlled housing in an apartment that's about $1,000 a month. She lives in the slums, and she's donating millions to Democrats. No, I don't think so. It's like the most obvious investigation ever. And it's just been time and time and time again captured on camera. These people have no idea where the hell the donations come from. What I find particularly encouraging about all this was that in a clip that went viral last year, Marco Rubio, who just shut down USAID when he was still a senator, Marco Rubio went in hard explaining how the fraud happens with ActBlue. He's been read in on this. He's known about it, and now he's killing it. Let's go.
The back of everyone's credit card, we get asked for it all the time. There's this code called the CVV code, and it allows you to track that account. Back of everyone's credit card, we get asked for it all the time. There's this code called the CVV code, and it allows you to track that account and where it's located. You can donate money, thousands of dollars to ActBlue without your CVV code on it. And so I want to pass a law that requires that all these online donations using credit cards require a CVV, so we can make sure that that person is actually in the United States and eligible to contribute. Otherwise, you could have some credit card in China basically putting millions of dollars in small dollar donations into political campaigns in America. ActBlue has become a money laundering operation, and because they don't take the CVV. It's a deliberate strategy on their part. We should have a law that closes that. I've been trying to get it passed, and as you can imagine, the reason the Democrats oppose it is because ActBlue opposes it. Because if they had to put CVVs, they had to use that code from their credit card, their donations would go.
I think you're onto something, Senator.
So, ladies and gentlemen, how do you know that they're panicking? Well, because they're on TV doing it. Would they be reacting like this? This is the way that people react when they're serial killers and they have a bunch of bodies in their backyard and police show up with a shovel, right, in a crime scene unit saying, "We're going to need here's a warrant. We're going to need access to start digging in your backyard." This is the way that they respond, all right? This is not the behavior of an innocent person. This is the behavior of guilty people that know the jig is up. Here we go.
We just got word from ActBlue, the fundraising platform that's been very effective in supporting the Democratic Party. Remember I said at the beginning that sound that you're hearing is the sounds of pens scratching on checks? Quote, small dollar donors raise over $27.5 million on ActBlue in the first 5 hours of Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. $27.5 million just on ActBlue, just in the first 5 hours. ActBlue says, quote, grassroots supporters are energized and excited to support her as the Democratic nominee.
Ladies and gentlemen, put it together.